everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Indie Film Cafe's Docs That Rock.
Docs That Rock.
Yay. So, this time, it's your old pal, the Moo Cow, here with Little Moo, and also...
Little Jonathan.
There you go. And we are going to be watching a movie from our old pal, William Hellfire, and it is called Mail Order Murder, the story of W.A.V.E. Productions.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, it's actually a lot of fun, and there's definitely folks in there that we know.
Oh.
So, should be a lot of fun. You've not seen this before, I assume? Yeah, have you heard about it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I feel like I saw it on his IMDb or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it.
It's actually really good, so, yeah, it'll be fun.
We
You
did a
guys get to
short
check it
film
out.
with him, right? That he did, right?
Yeah.
The one that our friend is in. Yeah,
Absolutely. So this should be fun. We'll have a lot to talk about, and I'll be anxious to hear what you have to say.
All right. Join us in a little bit.
Bye.
Bye.
Docs. That rock! We are back. So
We are.
Mail Order Murder, the story of W.A.V.E. What did you think?
I loved it.
Wasn't that fun?
I think I told you before. This is my favorite Docs That Rock so far. Lost Soul was pretty damn good, you know, and everything else we've done, the R, that stuff, all that, it's been great. But this movie, I felt I knew so many people in it. I wasn't aware of a lot of people too, so it was almost like learning. But it was like seeing my friends up on the television talking about making movies.
Tina Krause, so much Tina Krause.
Made me so happy.
It
Yeah,
was
so
great.
much Tina Krause.
Yep,
It was awesome.
it's like I said, it's like one of us. These are our people making these movies, and it's they're fun, and way back in the day, this is the stuff that I would go hunting in the mom and pop places because Blockbuster wasn't going to have these things, and some of the other more
Did
corporate
you ever
ones,
go to Blockbuster? Be honest.
Not really, no.
No, I didn't think so.
I would buy things from Blockbuster. That was the difference.
Yeah.
Because they would always get rid of their surplus stuff.
And some of the even the
Posters.
more popular stuff or whatever, some of those Oscar-winning movies that you might actually like, but
Yeah, they would sell them for a couple bucks. So yeah, I'd go there. But when it came to renting stuff, the mom and pop places always had that adult section, especially in there's this one in Newark, Delaware, near University of Delaware I used to go to. And they had the regular stuff, they had the foreign stuff, then in the back they had the adult stuff. And then you go to that area, and then half of that was porn, which was kind of, whatever at that point.
Movies didn't have porn.
I didn't care. But the other side was the other section. And the other section had all kinds of stuff. It had fetish stuff, it had non-rated stuff, it had stuff like Necromantique there, which I loved. All kinds of weird, crazy stuff that really didn't fall in any other category. Maybe cult if you had a cult section.
Well, so yeah.
And all the W.A.V.E. movies were there.
So there was a movie scene, because I worked at 3 different movie scenes in Williamsburg. There's 3 of them, and I worked at all 3. And one of them was... that Mongolian place over and everything? It was right in that shopping center over by where Kmart used to be and everything. And there was this guy there, Ed, and his name was Ed, right? And he was my boss, and he would pick up movies that nobody else would pick up. Like that was his thing. Is like, he would look at the catalogs and everything and say, oh, okay. No, I know this store is going to get this. Let me get this, and this. And so he would have all these cult movies and everything. And I don't think any of these were there. I don't know, because I think we still were a little bit of a more mainstream mom and pop kind of store. But he would have things that I was like, oh shit, I've never seen this at any of the other stores, and I loved it.
Right.
That was the kind of cool part.
Yeah, it is great because it's pleasing a niche audience, and that's how Gary Whitson survived, and not only survived but prospered. And the reason this movie came about is apparently somewhere around 2015, 2016, Bill Hellfire found out that Gary Whitson was still making movies after all this time since the late '80s, and he was like, "Oh my God!" So he went and talked to him, and they were like, "Yeah, I'm gonna make a documentary about that." So he got with Snyder and
Ross Snyder,
and they decided to make this, and they both co-wrote it and co-directed it, and it's actually a really good film. It's well done, and good for you, Bill Hellfire.
Ross
Amazing.
Snyder, I know from Chris Seaver. Chris Seaver worked a lot with him. I guess Ross was a fan or something, and I think he might even had a band or something at the time.
Nice.
And they, just came out and acted in Chris's stuff, and then I think Ross went on his own, and he did this documentary. I didn't even know he did this, and I was like, wow, that's really freaking cool. I'm Ross, rock on, because I love that kind of stuff.
It's great. And if you're a fan of shot on video and all that kind of stuff from the 80s and 90s, you got to watch this movie. There's all kinds of great stuff in there. It's not just the popular stuff that it's out there. It touches on some of it, but it's also on the niche stuff and the fetish stuff and the weird stuff that's out there.
Okay, so let's go into what the whole thing and what the documentary is about. So it starts with the beginning of how Gary got into it, and what I love about what they talk about is basically Gary was just a guy who just wanted to make movies, So he got a camera and started making these little crappy movies. He didn't care. He just made movie after movie after movie after movie,
right?
And started to sort of and he it was kind of talked about. You kind of kept saying keep rolling, and that was kind of a joke with it, where he just would just shoot these scenes, and he would just go on, and then he would cut, and then he would cut, and then he would go on, and he would go on, and he'd just make these movies and put them out and everything, and that was about the time, because of the VHS, they were talking about 1983 being, and you even said you didn't even realize that, but 1983 was the year that people started making camcorder movies, because they had an idea in their head and they wanted to make something, and they just figured out how to make it on a low budget scale. So it's wonderful. And then he did that, and he kept doing it.
And then he started doing it specialized for people.
Custom
ones, which was a great idea.
Very smart.
And and then he would build movies around that, and it's great. And of course, all kinds of wackadoodle stuff would come out there, because who else is going to make them? Just him, maybe Ron Bonk, but not even Ron Bonk then.
Because even Ron Bonk now, because what he did was stuff that nobody else would do.
Nobody.
He had his own style and his own, thing, and I love that. I thought that was really cool to hear. I've never seen a Gary Whitson movie, so I can't particularly. I just saw clips from them. They do look pretty bad, but I think that was
they're low budget to no budget.
Yeah, at one point they talked to, I think it was Tina Kraus was talking about how she was like, Gary, you're bringing a real knife to the set, and he goes, we'll get a prop next time.
That's funny.
Right? And I just was like, oh my God, this guy just doesn't.
So much Tina Kraus, so much Pamela Sutch, so much Laura Giglio. It was great.
I mean, he would take something like this, and he would make something out of it.
Oh yeah.
And I'm in awe of that. I can't believe, or you take your cow and you make a whole movie about your
cow puppet massacre.
Well, especially if you ordered that.
Yep.
If you paid him, what would happen would be people go into a catalog, I guess, or whatever, and they would see the custom thing. So they would send a certain amount of money. I don't know how much he charged, but they would send in the money. They'd either give him a script or they won't give him a script.
Right,
Either
or just
way.
an idea.
Just an idea, and he would go and shoot the movie, and so they would go. So Paul would go, I want
Tina Kraus naked, tied up, and molested by a cow.
And then that would be the movie.
That would be it.
That would be the movie. Tina, that's not going to happen. Don't worry. I'm gonna make sure Paul does not order
molested
that.
by a cow.
But they would also, you said Tina Kraus. they would sometimes custom ask for specific actors that worked with his movies.
Early '90s Tina Krause, what a
I
gorgeous,
knew
what an
now
angel.
Tina Krause still
I
gorgeous.
still is, but even there back then, that's where I discovered Tina Krause.
Yeah.
You know, those kind of movies. I mean, she was a goddess.
She's
I know,
wonderful.
she's amazing. So yeah, and it was great seeing her talk, listening to her talk about those times, and you know, it's just a great film. And,
It is, and
can't say enough good things about it. It's so much fun.
yeah, and
J.R. Bookwalter's in there.
Jared Bookwalter,
Ron Bonk's in there.
Ron Bonk,
all kinds of
Peter
people.
Jacelone,
Michael Rasso.
Yeah, Michael Rasso. I mean, they got some great people who.
If you're in the indie movie biz, you're gonna recognize these people.
Yeah, like especially if you love that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I loved like we talked about it before together, but I loved his what they said about Gary is like like Peter Jacelone was making a movie similar or close to similar, enough or whatever, and was using maybe some same cast crew, and stuff, and then and Gary never got jealous or mad or anything because he just believed he's doing his own thing and they're going and doing
room
their own
for
thing.
everyone,
and there's room for everyone, and
great
I
attitude.
feel like that isn't the case a lot of times these days. Not a lot of people have that
everybody's
attitude.
fighting and just being shitty with each other. It's really weird.
And I feel like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's the thing. I mean, look, we're not going to say that these movies are gold and these movies are amazing. We know
But they're fun.
we know what they are.
Yeah.
When we do our show, Indie Film Cafe, we rate and review movies honestly to whatever
Absolutely.
the way that we feel. We're not saying that you're going to feel that way. We say this is how we feel.
And we always make sure to leave a link so that you can pick it up, buy it, hopefully from the artists themselves, and make your own opinion.
Make your own, but maybe you like it. I know a lot of people, especially we've got people on our, in our that come and guest host with us that love stuff that we're like, really? Okay. We didn't see the same thing you did,
Right.
but and sometimes I think like we did one, and Mark Polonia. They're talking about the Polonia brothers too. They were one of the first ones to really to get. They were actually one of the first ones to get movies in the stores. That's what they said. I did not even know that. I didn't know the Polonia brothers was Splatter Beach.
Splatter Farm.
Splatter Farm. They did Splatter Beach later, but Splatter Farm was the one that got into the stores, and I'm just like, oh my god, that is so freaking cool. Like,
yeah, it was an amazing flowering of horror films in the early to mid '80s. They just all of a sudden there was an avalanche because the technology was a sea change. Anybody could buy a camera recorder, go out and make stuff, and at the time, content was king. So you make a movie, they'll put it out there.
It still is king. That's like why so many people get movies on Tubi. I don't know if Gary's movies are on Tubi, but I don't think so.
I don't think so. If there are, there might be like maybe one or two.
I wish
some of the more tame.
He's made like
ones.
400 movies, they said, and I looked it up, and on IMDb it only says like 50, but if you actually go to specific titles, they're on IMDb, but they just don't list him as a director or a writer or whatever.
And a lot of those movies, they're under an hour. They're not full length films.
Yeah.
But that's fine. I mean, still, there's still entertainment for that. And the thing is, like, his style really worked out well for those people who really wanted certain fetish things. Like, if your fetish was to see a naked girl being strangled and thrown into quicksand.
Don't ask me why that's a fetish.
But his long cake style is exactly what they want because that's what they want to see. So you got 20 minutes of just that.
Or as they said, like if you wanted, you gave them the idea of having just Tina Krause brushing her hair. He'd make a whole movie out of that. And I'm just like, that is pretty cool. Like that's a neat little.
Tickled by a mummy.
Yeah, tickled by a mummy. There's a lot of weird titles and weird, like fetishes.
Right.
But like. And then some of the girls started realizing, these are fetishes. They said the weirdest one was the foot fetish one, And we both looked at each other.
Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
He'd know he has to have seen some of that.
Yeah, or at least he knows who Gary is.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's an amazing feat right there. To
Feet.
didn't even plan to do that. No pun really intended, actually. But yeah, no, that's an amazing thing to have. A name so well recognized that probably even big time people know who you are, or at least have heard of you through the grapevine of like other people, and because you've done so much stuff.
This is all stuff that Hollywood ain't gonna go near, which is why it's there. It fills a niche.
See, you were saying like Driving Miss Daisy is what your friends wanted to go see, and you're like, no, and I was like, all I could think about was Stay Tuned, the movie John Ritter, where there was like coming tonight, driving over Miss Daisy, and that's literally what the movie.
Watch.
That would be something he would do probably, like driving over Miss Daisy, or whatever, and it's just stupid shit, or whatever, which I find funny.
Like people getting pies in the face, or
I never understood the pie thing, but people
there's a big fetish, especially in Japan, for women who put pudding in their underwear. Don't ask me why. It's a thing. It's just, you can film that and make a ton of money.
People have asked me before, like, do I have any fetishes or kinks? And no, I don't. And I mean, I don't know, because I just never did.
But it's great that there is an audience out there. It's a built-in audience, and you can make content specifically geared towards that. And Gary shows that you can do that for a living. You can make money off of it.
Well, as long as you have the equipment.
Have the equipment and have people who are willing to let...
Especially for, like, basically nothing, work for peanuts to do this stuff. Some of them, they talked about that one guy who was, like, a law enforcement officer or whatever, and then his wife was, like, a judge
district
or something.
attorney or something.
Yeah, a lawyer or judge or something, and then he got in trouble because he was doing these low-budget movies where he was playing like a murderer or whatever, and it was not looking good for him. But
there's another one I remember reading about where these, and again, for some reason it's Asian folks, and I don't know why. I'm not stereotyping. It's just they like to see girls squishing things with their feet, so they'll do like jelly sandwiches or fruit or stuff, and it's just they just like to see the stuff squished between the toes.
There's that.
Why not?
Documentary called Quiet on Set, and the lead guy who was from that show Head of the Class, Dan Schneider, he was running it, and he wanted little kids were in these things having their feet and all that stuff, and I'm wondering if because that might be a fetish for him, but like having kids, that might also be a fetish other people were like looking at and stuff, and that was gross. Like that's just disturbing.
I would not want to mess with kids.
These are adults who are doing this stuff. So like Tina Kraus and Debbie D and Pamela Such.
They were totally into it. I mean, that's so awesome that they have the right attitude. You're able to find the actors with the right attitude, because there are going to be people who are like, I'm not doing that.
Demenko or Demko. However you say her name, I'm sorry. I'm friends with her on Facebook, and I can't. It's been a hard name to pronounce. But I absolutely adore all of these women who are talking about the stuff they were doing in this.
And
this
no shame whatsoever. They were perfectly happy with it. And, it's just the right attitude. So he was able to get all these folks to come on and make all these films. And he's still going, apparently. So
still going.
Good for
still
you,
making
Gary.
stuff. And you said it's still, still a catalog, I think, and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That's insane, man.
You can go out
Especially...
there and find them and buy them.
We were talking about how we both get oldies catalogs because they send it to us and everything, like the new.
I get that.
catalog.
I get Sinister Cinema, and I get a couple others.
Yeah, I don't get catalogs because I just buy everything online or eBay. Mm-hmm. So I mean, oldies.com is just easy to do. But also, I didn't grow up with that.
Right. See,
you grew up with that, so like.
On the tail end of that.
Yeah. When did you start doing the catalog stuff?
I don't remember, but probably starting in the 80s.
80s, wow.
Yeah.
You know, did you ever do the was it the music one? That
Oh yeah.
you did that?
Yeah.
Oh, my parents used to do that. But then they
12.
then they forget to like
$10 or something.
cancel it or whatever. So like the next week they get charged another $40 or whatever for Columbia House.
That's how most. That's how most of it worked. That's why they're like, how could they afford that? Well, because there's always people that forget. You know, and that still happens today with my streaming stuff. I forget to like, you know, take it off, and all of a sudden I have a $10, you know, whatever, and I'm like, fuck, I didn't want that. Yeah, I don't want stars again. You know, like I should have freaking. But you know, it's all right. It happens. You know. Yeah, and it's great, and I like that Michael Rassa was able to like build this whole catalog of all these other indie people too, which is what I wanted to do, you know, and be able to put out all these things on physical media because
Seduction Cinema.
you know we're big fans of physical media because you get to own it. It doesn't just go away when your streaming service decides to turn off the faucet on you. You know, so yeah, I think that's great. They're living the life.
Well, no, actually, I think it was William Hellfire he was talking about when he said, you know, that he was not jealous of him because William was doing that stuff, and then William was taking over.
Factory 2000
was doing the helping him do this stuff when he couldn't do it and everything, and I thought that was freaking awesome.
Yeah, he was saying that he was getting so much work that there was stuff he couldn't do, and he was farming it off to Will Hellfire, and that's where I conflated, you know, having seen Tina Kraus and then seeing Misty Monday. They worked so much together. I thought Misty Monday also did WAVE, but it was before her time. Yeah. She came in with Bill Hellfire and his own company with Factory 2000.
Yeah.
And I could have sworn she was in at least one WAVE, but I went back and looked, and she's not.
No, she's probably hasn't been in, but.
She was a little bit later on.
After, yeah, but I mean, he's still doing it, so I'm surprised he hadn't tried to contact her.
She's doing stuff with Bill Zabub now.
Is she still doing stuff with Bill Zabub?
I think so.
No, I know she did Dick Shark with them, so I don't know.
She did a couple movies.
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elmo Street and a few other ones.
Yeah, I mean, she's wonderful. I adore her. I adore all the ladies that were in this. Like every single one of them. You got to see clips of them, and they look like they were having fun. They said that they improv'd a lot.
I like that.
You know, that they sometimes they improv the whole idea, the whole movie, and everything. Sometimes they just ad-lib lines or whatever, you know, just to make it their own.
And there's a lot more of that in independent cinema than what people believe. I think that gets a bad reputation. Like they think, oh, well, there's no script, that must be a piece of crap. That's not necessarily true. I mean,
it might still be a piece of crap, but there is a script.
Right. I mean, there's crappy scripts out there too. Having a script or having a structure is good, but at the same time, it's just like, you know, when we were talking about Scott Shaw and those guys, they talk about how it can also be inhibiting because it doesn't allow spontaneous creativity as well. So there's kind of give and take there.
They mentioned Ray Dennis Steckler.
Ray Dennis Steckler, I know.
Which is awesome.
He's great.
But does he usually have a script? Or did he usually have a script?
Mostly, not all the time. There's definitely some levels of improv, and he's definitely one of those guys who's like, yeah, let's get the friends and family out in the backyard and shoot a movie today.
Right, and I think that's what they said was the thing, is like, that was the attitude that got embraced in the 80s that was in like the 50s and 60s and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, that got embraced the 80s and the 90s and whatnot. And they were mentioning Chick Boxer, which was J.R. Bookwalter's movie.
Tempe.
Yeah, and you know, stuff like that. Like, people would rather see that than like what was out in the theater, because like what was out in the theater, you know, you knew most of what was already going to happen, but you watched like a WAVE movie, you had no idea.
You had no idea what was going to happen.
And so it makes me sort of like excited to check them out. And plus, they said that like in the catalog, some of the catalogs that they had that they would have, the WAVE production stuff, they'd have their own like full spread. So yeah, you could see almost every movie in the catalog. I remember Todd Jason Cook. We interviewed him.
Yep.
And he had he went to conventions. They go to conventions a lot, and you would see the movies, and then they would have catalogs. So he would have movies that you could choose, and he does it online now. So you go to his online store, and you can pick out like five or six movies for like $40. And I mean, and that's what they said for this one.
We got to go up to Jersey and go to Chiller. I'm willing to bet Gary's still there.
Next year, baby. That's our plan. So right now we're planning to go to Cinema Wasteland. So we'll meet J.R. Bookwalter and that crew, the Ohio crew there, and then we want to go up because I know like Chiller is one of those ones that I think it happens twice a year.
Oh, really?
Or something. Yeah, I think there's a spring show and a fall show.
Nice.
I could be wrong, but I want to go to the fall show. The fall show is usually one of the better, ones and everything. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is.
Who knows? Maybe Chris Siva will be there too. I mean, he's
roughly
in that area.
Maybe. I think he sometimes does. I know he goes to Monster Mania, and that's in Jersey and Cherry Hill, and then there's one in Maryland, or was, I don't know.
Love to meet him in person someday.
Yeah, hopefully he'll be at Cinema Wasteland, because sometimes he goes to that too.
That'd be great.
He's one of those guys. Chris Seaver, I'm sure Chris Seaver, if he hasn't seen this, seen this documentary,
I wouldn't be surprised if he's seen
he
this.
should see it, because I'm sure he knows everybody, involved and whatnot. It's such a cool, it's such a cool little thing.
And it's a whole world out there. I mean, a lot of people know Troma, but people don't know that there are sub-levels that even more smaller and independent than Troma.
I think that was why we started Indie Film Cafe, is to promote movies that nobody's even heard of.
Yep.
Our tagline was like, the movies that Riff Tracks won't even do. and these are like, William Hellfire movies, Gary Whitson movies, Peter Jaslone, J.R. Bookwalter. You don't see them on Red Letter Media. You don't see it on Riff Tracks.
See it here.
But you hear about them here because those are the movies that got us into like the indie scene, and everything. Ed Wood got me into it, and then I got sucked into that world. And Troma, like Make Your Own Damn Movie, that book got me into. Somebody had recommended that to me, and I read it, and I was like...
And there's a lot of stuff going on today, too, which is really, really good. We're kind of having another little mini explosion. Not quite as much as we did in the 80s when it switched over to VHS, but digitally things are making... Anytime you have something that makes things easier for people to make films, you're going to have an explosion of stuff.
Yeah. The problem is, I think the problem is there's just too much. Too, it's oversaturated.
Yes and no. There's more market now though because of the internet and because of all the streaming services.
So anybody can go out and distribute their own movie. You just go to Qnaki, and you can distribute your own movie, or you can get your own movie on. If you're
just not going to get rich off of it. Don't expect that because the streaming services don't pay.
Well, that's why you got to just like make the movies yourself, like how they did the VHSs.
And you still got to do physical media. You're still gonna, if you're gonna make money, that's where it's gonna be. You're probably not gonna make much off of that.
And I liked where they discussed the basically the cover of the VHS was just a Polaroid that was inserted into the cover, and I think that's really cute. Because that's the
DIY. Do it yourself.
Yeah, DIY. God, why? I'm so dyslexic. I want to say DIY. But
the whole punk aesthetic that happened in the late 70s, crossed over into movies. That's why you see a lot of crossover between punk music and independent movies.
A lot of punk music becomes part of horror films and stuff, and especially a lot of like no name bands that haven't blown up or anything. Those guys go into these movies like you wouldn't believe, and the music is amazing. And it's stuff you're not going to hear because it's not mainstream. It's not The Offspring or Ramones or whatever. It's little bands.
Fetus Over Frisco, bands like that.
I never even heard of that band. Are they still around?
No,
Oh, sad. I hate when I hear about a band and they're not around anymore, but that kind of stuff, I love that. Like I love when a pop punk band or a regular punk band or whatever give their permission to be in the movie because that meant that like they love independent film.
Some bands, I mean, like Nail Bomb, I mean, they kind of blew up because they were part of the Harmony Korine film.
Which one?
The
Gummo?
Gummo, yeah, they were part of the Gummo soundtrack, and I was like, "Whoa, who the heck is that?" And it's great. And so a lot of times bands will get, will get picked up. Same thing. I didn't know who Bush was until Clerks. Like was it Clerks? It was the other one. It was what was the one that
Clerks had like Soul Asylum and stuff.
Yeah, no. What was the one that Bush was in? Was it Chasing Amy?
He wasn't in any of the Kevin Smith ones.
No.
Bush.
Yeah.
They were in like I don't know. I'm trying to Fear. They were in the movie Fear, I think.
No, they were in one of his movies. I know that.
I don't think so.
Because that's where I picked up on them.
No, I don't think so. But I mean, I might be wrong. Answer us the comment down below if
Pretty sure
if Bush
was
in a Kevin Smith movie.
Yeah.
I don't think so. But like Kevin Smith was that kind of guy for comedy. Like he went out and he made Clerks on a $27,000 budget, but he used all his own money, and this wasn't like he didn't go out to like some investor from Canada or
credit
something.
cards.
Yeah, he did his
Maxed
credit
out
cards.
his credit cards.
Maxed out his credit cards, made the movie. Oh, and it wasn't just credit cards. That was part of it. But he also sold his comic collection. Did everything he could just to make this movie and stuff. And he had there was a flood that happened that caused him to get some extra money, and he used that money from the flood to to make his movie, and he thought it was just gonna be one movie. He was gonna be done and whatnot, and blew up. And so it doesn't. You never know. I mean,
never know.
Even a Gary Whitson movie might one day blow up. Who knows? And become something bigger. But we have a better chance now because more things are going viral because of the internet. More people have a chance to see it. You showed me this movie. If this documentary was on like Tubi or something, like more people would see it. I think it is
on Tubi.
Yeah, more people would get to see it, and people would know who Gary is.
Right. Which is great.
And that's why that's why we do Docs at Rock, because we want to showcase the talent behind the people who make this and stuff. And Bill Hellfire and Ross Snyder did an amazing job on such a tasteful documentary.
It's one of those docs that it's like, God, if they'd gone another half hour with more folks talking about stuff, like get to see more Tina Krause talking, I'd have loved it. I'd be like, yep, sure, I could watch more.
I wonder if there's like a DVD out there that has, because you just have a kind of burned copy of it or whatever, but like if there's a DVD copy of it or whatever, or to have like extras and stuff, more interviews that they just cut out, like you would love that. But I don't know. I thought everything was kind of the way it was. It was just perfect. It was perfect time, length. It was the perfect attitude. And I do love documentaries, but my favorite thing is a documentary about making movies. Like when I saw Lost Soul again, I got immersed in it. Eventually, we're gonna do American Movie.
Oh yeah.
Which that is like my favorite. That should be like the season finale.
Yeah, I know.
Or something.
It should. It's a great film
because it's a fantastic movie. And something that I feel like there are movies out there that do that.
And I want to bring someone along for that one. There's someone who hasn't seen it. I think because we've both seen it. I'd love to have somebody who's not seen it and they can just.
Well, see, that was the one beautiful thing about showing me this. Or most of the other ones, except Lost Soul, you weren't sure if I had actually seen it. You were pretty sure I had. But yeah, I love that. So it was fun watching something new and about a person I was aware of. I knew of W.A.V.E. I didn't know much else about them, or whatever. I knew that Tina worked for them and whatnot, but I didn't know anything else. And so learning a lot about what they do and everything. And
Tina's done stuff for us. I'm so tickled pink over that.
I know.
No idea.
She's worked with us.
She's wonderful.
She's going to continue to work with us. We're going to put her in more and more movies. Why not?
Oh, yeah.
So we,
even though she didn't want to become an actress, that was the last thing in the world she wanted, which I thought was hysterical.
That was the funniest thing, her story of how she did not even want to become an actress. And
I'm supposed to be here.
And then some guy said, "Are you an actress?" And she made a joke like, "If I say yes, are you gonna put me in a movie?" And the guy put her in a movie, and I think the rest was history. Maybe
what happens when you're a smart aleck from Brooklyn?
I know.
You say that, now you're a movie star, or at least
Now
a minor
you're a
movie
movie-
star.
Oh, you're a movie star to me, in my opinion.
She's
You know.
awesome.
Yeah, we love her. She's been on our show. She's been on Indie Film Cafe reviewing movies with us. I mean, how freaking cool is that?
Yep.
Like, I've known her for a while. I've interviewed her a long time ago, and we've been friends for a while. But, like, to work with her and to have her on our show and to have, you know, even though she probably is not happy with Blood Marsh Raccoon, but I think the last one we did, because she did come back and she did that Amongst Friends movie after that. So or whatever, Among Friends or whatever. So she came back, you know.
Yeah, we could probably get her. It's just, you know, it's
been
fun
busy
having
too.
her on there.
She's been busy too, and she got a normal job. So.
And we have to do. I promised to do her movie, so we're going to do Limbo at some point.
Maybe that's why she's been dodging us now. It's like, damn it, they gotta do my movie first.
It's a matter of which show do we put it on. I mean, you could put it on Film Freaks, you could put it on Indie Film Cafe, you could put it on What the Fuck Friday.
Patreon
It would
only.
fit on any one of those. Yeah, Patreon only.
No, anything.
But it's good stuff.
So anyway, yeah. What else? Was there anything else with this movie? Like,
other than just go out and check it out. It's on Tubi, and if you discover Gary Whitson's and W.A.V.E, definitely go to the website and grab what you can. I like that the movie brought out the fact that, you know, at some point when Gary moves on, there's somebody else behind to take over and keep the catalog going and keep the movies going, which is great.
We've always wondered about that with like Trauma and with
Full Moon
and everything.
Yeah.
The guys are getting a little up there in age, and it's scary. You know?
is.
So.
Because we don't want these movies to vanish.
No, we don't. But we love them all, and we know people who love them all and really care and whatnot, and we just want people to continue to see these stuff. So if you get a chance to watch the documentary, watch the documentary. If you get a chance to watch the movies, more importantly, go watch the movies, because those are
Tickled by a Mummy should not vanish into obscurity.
Yeah, go watch Tickled by a Mummy, because that sounds like some weird fucking fetish. Like some guy was like, I want to see somebody tickled by a mummy.
Cover me with oatmeal.
Yeah, covered with oatmeal, and then they're like, all right, let's make that, and so that's a weird custom.
I want to make
thing.
pudding in underwear movies.
No,
I think that'd be fun.
You do that on your own time. That's
chocolate pudding, strawberry pudding, vanilla pudding.
That'll be in your house. You can do that. You know, maybe you can find somebody a hot girl that'll help you do that. You know,
Tell you make millions.
Can make millions off that weird fucking thing. But that's the thing. Look, I say that lovingly, because look, if you have a fetish or a kink, that's your thing.
As long as it's harmless and doesn't hurt anybody, sure.
Yeah, but if it does hurt somebody, if you act on those things, that's the beautiful thing about what they talked about in this movie, is that the thing is, like, those people that want this stuff, they don't want to do it.
No.
They for whatever reason, they want to see it, right? So if it's something that's like torture or something, they don't actually want to go and torture somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, they get their kicks off of people who, whatever. I remember, this is funny, Jackie and I were on Jackie was on like a thing called Periscope. I don't know if you remember that. It was an app that was like a live video app, like a webcam app.
Huh.
But you do it with your phone and stuff. And she was on there, and people were, a bunch of different people, not even just the same one, were going, show feet, show feet, show feet. And she's like, I ain't showing my feet. You know? And I was just like, oh my god, that's just weird.
It's a big thing, man. You
It's-
could do it.
It's so
could
weird. You can
money.
make a lot of money. Like
I'm
people,
actually surprised she's not on Cameo. She could be on Cameo.
I'm surprised nobody's created a onlyfeet.com. Maybe they have.
There you go. Bing,
You
ding,
know,
ding, ding,
I'm
ding.
sure they have. I'm sure that's registered.
Instead of OnlyFan, it's OnlyFeet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm sure that's registered. I'm sure that's getting made into something.
All right,
you know?
we're gonna look that up on the phone as soon as
No.
as soon as we get done.
No, thank you. I don't want to know. I'm scared. All right. Well, everybody, that was it. I think we pretty much talked about it. The rest of it you can watch on the show. They really go into real
Go check it out. It's a lot
depth
of fun.
and stuff into Whitson's career.
And if you're a B movie person, you're gonna love it. Trust me.
I do want to become friends with Gary Whitson because and get him on our show to talk about this stuff because
And I want Tina back on the show so we can talk about this stuff.
yeah, well, from her perspective
Yeah.
too. Because I mean, you're gonna get different perspectives. Every single actress that worked on these movies will give us a different perspective of what happened.
And she had some funny comments too. It was hysterical.
She had some hilarious comments. So we love you, Tina. We
We
love
do.
you, Pamela. We love you, Deanna. We love you, Debbie. All the actors that and stuff, and everybody else who's worked really, really hard on this documentary. Thank you so much. You guys put. I could. We were talking about it. I know if I did a documentary, I know what I would do it on, but I'm not gonna say. But I would, I would do it, but I just don't have time.
You know me.
I
Ray
just-
Dennis Steckler
I
is
just
who
don't
would
have
do it.
time, to do that. This took this was somebody's, love, and you could tell love story. So love letter. So thank you guys so much for checking this out. Join us next month for a brand new Docs That Rock. I have no idea what Paul will be subjecting me to next time. It's always good. It's a good movie. He hasn't shown me a Docs That Rock that didn't rock.
There you go. And this one rocked.
Yep, this one rocked. So thank you guys for checking this out. Talk to you later.
Bye. Docs. That rock!
Outtake.